All right, I should be live now. You should be able to see my screen. It's just the Canvas uh, assignments page. So I just wanted to show you, these are the two things that I'm going to have you do. So this sketch practices exercise, that's going to be your grade for the upcoming week. So, oh, I didn't put a date on it. But that'll be due next Monday. Um, and it'll be worth 40 points, just like your regular labs. Wow, next Monday is March 1st. This quarter is kind of flying by, huh? um, all right. And then the other assignment is going to be, this one's going to be extra credit. So if you get through the first one and you want to keep practicing, this one is going to be, you're going to download 3 technical drawings from wherever you want. Um, so McMaster Car has like technical drawings for parts that they sell. So does Misumi. Uh, and if you find somewhere else you want to download a technical drawing from that you can model in SolidWorks, then feel free to do so. Um, and then you're going to uh, model those sketches use those drawings to model the parts in SolidWorks. And then your submission is going to be your part file, so your SolidWorks part file, the time that it took you to do the model, so add that as like a comment, and then upload the drawing that you used to create your model. So there will be 3 pieces of information: just your model, your time it took you to model it, and the drawing that you used to model. And that's going to be for extra credit. So if you do part of it, I'll give you it's so the full thing, I'll give you 10 extra credit points just like added on to your existing points in Canvas. If you do the whole thing, if you do like one drawing, it'll be 3 points. If you do 2 drawings, it'll be 6 points. If you do part of a drawing, like I'll just base how many extra credit points I give you on how much of the assignment you do. But um, let's go back to the first one. So this one, sketch practices, is going to be your assignment for the week. And there's 3 sketches here, or three drawings, and you're going to model each one, and you're going to time yourself when you model them. So time yourself doing each one, and say it takes like 15 minutes to create the fully defined part from the sketch. You're gonna record those times, just write it down or whatever, and then you're gonna go back and do each one again, and hopefully it'll be faster the second time, and you're gonna write those down. And then your submission is just gonna be the times that it took for you to model all of them. You don't have to submit the part file, just write down your times and for the first run through and then for the second run through of each part. Does that make sense to everyone? Yeah, and you actually, for this assignment, I don't need you to submit the drawing at all. Hopefully all your drawings will be exactly the same. So, um, you don't you don't need to. You can if you want to. You can upload your part files. Or if there's something you had trouble with and you want me to look at it, feel free to upload those part files and I'll give you some feedback. Hopefully, if you do run into anything that you're like, oh, I'm not sure how to do this, then I definitely want you to ask so you can figure out how to do it, and I'll help you through it. Um, but yeah, if you complete all 3 drawings twice each successfully and you don't run into anything, you don't need to bother uploading the part file. And I figured real quick for the lesson, I'm just gonna go through the first one, just show you kind of how I would do this. And it's a pretty simple drawing. This is the sketch right here, or the part drawing. So I figured I'd just open up SolidWorks and run through it real quick and show you, like, there's always, everybody's got their own way of doing uh, modeling a part, and your way might be faster than my way for you, but I just wanted to kind of show you guys what it would look like if I'm trying to just go through it real quick. So I'm going to open SolidWorks. Actually, I'm going to put this over on my other screen. So the other thing too, when you take the exam, this is going to be kind of important. You'll probably do it on campus at school. I'm going to talk to Jason about the details of like getting an exam set up for you guys so you can come in and take it if you choose to. It's not required for the class, but it's a good idea if you want to have that certification. Um, but what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to have a computer that's got two monitors, just because you want to be able to have your drawing on one monitor and be able to model your part on the other. It just makes it go way faster if you're not like clicking back and forth between them. So, and same for practicing, if you have two monitors at home and you're able to do that, then uh that's ideal. If not, you can come on campus and practice on the computers, because I think they've set up all the computers in the labs now to be two monitors. Um, all right, so I'm gonna get started on this real quick. If you want to watch my stream here, and if you want to have the part file open, I published it in Canvas, so it's the first one. It's called puzzle.pdf. So you can see what I'm doing. Um, if you don't want to, that's fine. Or if you can't, that's fine too. But might help to be able to watch. All right, so I'm gonna start with a sketch. I'm just gonna sketch that shape real quick. I'm gonna start in the front plane just for kicks. And let's see. Looks like I'm kind of crooked here. There we go. So I'm gonna just start with a line, and I'm gonna start sketching that shape. Oops. It's giving me a weird arc here. There we go. So I just start by kind of freehanding everything. I'm sure you guys have all done this a bunch of times too, so you probably having a pretty easy time following. But you can also see when those dotted lines show up, it's automatically giving a relation for you as you sketch. So I'm trying to kind of do those. There were a couple spots where I didn't, but if you have all your relations kind of built in at the beginning, it saves you time later. So we're going to go ahead and start dimensioning, and then I'll do the inside shapes after. So, and one thing too to keep in mind is you want to make sure that you start out with the correct units of measurement. I don't believe that this drawing has units on it. I'm just going to assume it's inches because that's what I have right now. But if you're drawing it on the exam, there will be units given, and you'll want to make sure that you start out with the correct units. So let's see, and some of these, some of the stuff on here is not dimensioned, so you're just going to add the dimensions that it shows. Don't add anything it doesn't show, because you'll end up with weird stuff. But all right, and it looks like these are vertical, so I'm going to add a relation and make this point and this point, I'm going to make them vertical. All right, and then go back to my dimensions. This is going to be 10, and this radius is also 10. So, and the second time you go through these, it's going to be quicker because you're going to kind of already know what you're doing, so you won't have to keep looking back and forth from the drawing to your sketch. Makes it a little easier. Yeah, you can do that too, actually, and that would be a lot quicker. You could add a relation. You could make these all equal, and then just add a dimension to one. Um, but I didn't choose the quickest way to do it. You're right. So those are things, and those are things that like with practice you'll start to figure out like, oh, if I do this this way, it's going to be quicker. And so that's part of why you want to go through twice is you're going to realize as you go through like, oh, I could have done that more quickly if I had done something different. But once you get to where you're doing the actual exam, you kind of want to have those tricks in your head. Just by doing these sketches over and over again, you're going to have those tricks in your head of like, this is the quickest way to do something. So when you look at the drawing they give you, you'll like stare at it for a second. You'll be like, okay, I'm going to go boop, 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 and everything's going to be done instead of like going through multiple steps. So, yeah, and it looks like there's one thing that's not fully defined here, and I'm not sure what it is. So, this is where you also kind of run out the clock, is where you're like, why isn't it fully defined? Why is this arc here? Oh, I didn't make these vertical. So. Yeah, it's tricky. It's like one of those kind of, you just gotta stare at it until you figure it out. But again, that's a practice thing. So you'll start to like see stuff immediately. All right, so I've got this fully defined. I'm gonna add in those two slots. So let me use the slot tool here. And there's one here. And there's one kind of over here. All right, and then I got to dimension those. So let's see. I'll make the center of this one. Ooh, I got all this stuff in here. All right, so I'll make the center of this one, and I'll make this point vertical. All right, and then do the same thing here. All right. Yeah, they'll give you stuff that like isn't it might like look like two things are the same size, but it won't be uh defined as the same size. And like, you might miss that. You might be like, "Oh, I'm just going to make those equal," but you won't notice like they didn't ever say those were equal, or something like that. So, I can tell these are all vertical because on the drawing this 30 dimension, it goes up through the center point here and the center point here. And same thing on this side. So I feel like that's kind of, and maybe that's an assumption on my part, like, but usually with stuff like that, you can kind of assume, and with these particular drawings, there's not really any tricks to them, so, all right. Those are both 15, and these are 3. And then from here to here is 7.5. And from here to here is also 7.5. All right. So now we've got that all set up and defined, and then it's going to be extruded to a depth of 7. And that's pretty much all there is to it, I believe. So there's your part. So that took me like, I don't know, 10 minutes. But it was pretty quick. This is a pretty simple one. So let's look at the other two real quick. I think, yeah, I think that was pretty reasonable for that one. If it takes you longer, don't worry about it. Like, again, it's just practice. And if you want to do it 4 or 5 times, you can totally do that. You don't need to submit all 5 of your times to me. But if you want to keep practicing and see how quick you can get, that's totally a good idea. Um, so this one looks like it's a little more tricky, just because it's a weird shape. It's got like these curves and stuff with different radiuses, and these two curves are tangent. And then you're going to offset the middle part of the. Let's go back. You're going to offset this inside line from the outside line, or vice versa. You can do the inside one first and then offset the outside one. I think you would be better off doing the outer one first and then offsetting the inside one, just because the outside one has all the dimensions on it. So I would do it that way. And then again, it's just extruded really simply to 10. There's nothing fancy going on there. Let's look at the third one. It's a bottle opener. So when you see a shape like this where you've got an outside line and then an inside line that is like the same, you're using the offset feature in SolidWorks, so that there's a distance between the two lines of 3 right here. Oh. Yeah, it's hollow. The inside is going to be cut out. I'm sorry? Yeah, so it's supposed to be a cookie cutter. So it's like, it's a shape with an open middle, basically. Oh, yeah, no. Yeah, you extrude it, but there's just a big hole in the middle, so it's not like shelled or anything like that. It's just, yeah. And then the third one is a bottle opener. So this one's also going to probably take you a little longer, just because there's more stuff going on here. But all in all, they should be fairly basic. And on the exam, the stuff they're going to give you is also going to be, I guess, fairly basic. You're not going to be doing anything like super crazy and extreme. You're not going to be using splines really, or like funky features. So pretty much everything you run into on there is going to be stuff that you've encountered before and that you've used. Um, they're not gonna throw you any major curveballs, but there will be stuff that is a little tricky, and they're gonna, it's gonna be like, oh, how do they do this? You're gonna have to think about it for a little bit, and it might not be totally obvious, at first. So, any questions on that little thing? Cool. All right, and then so again, the second assignment here is going to be this more sketch practice. It's going to be the extra credit one, but um, you might find some more complicated technical drawings elsewhere on the internet, and you can go as fancy as you want. It's totally your choice what you want to do. So I would pick something that's tricky enough that it feels like good practice, but simple enough that you can actually do it. Um, if that makes sense? Like, you don't want to do something super simplistic, because it's just not gonna really give you a lot of practice as far as like figuring out how to model something really quick. But yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, if it's, if it's pretty technical and it takes you a while to figure it out, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's still good practice to, kind of have to see that stuff and figure it out. I would say if it is hard to figure out and you get it, then go through it several times so you don't like just immediately forget how you did it, and go through it several times too so you can do it faster the second time because you already kind of figured it out and see how much faster you can do it. Um, any questions on the assignments or anything? I think